Hey everybody, it's Wintermute. So real quick, I'm going to do a. Not every review needs to be 20 minutes long. Sometimes they're really good, long-winded, and I know that. But so let me just do a couple quickies. This one is going to be about Monster Hunter, that based off the video game, the movie, and I enjoyed this a lot more than I thought I would. Well, at least the first half. Um, it of course, video game movie adaptations from video games have a very checkered past. Most of them are horrible. This one started off really well. Now, this is not a movie I would ever watch on my own. My son wanted to watch it, and he finally talked me into it. I'm like, okay, we'll rent it one night. So I went ahead and rented it. And I was into it a lot more than I thought I would be because of some very good writing decisions early on. Um, this is the kind of movie you don't really need a whole lot of character development to still enjoy, and that's fine. And there was enough of a bond between the main character and her unit, before things get bad, that it's like, okay, these people love and respect her as their commander, and that's all you really need to know. And then you can develop what kind of person she is a little later, and it's not too deep, and it doesn't have to be, but. The greatest part about the first, now I'm assuming you've seen it, so this may be spoilery, so either stop it now and go watch it. At least when Ron Perlman shows up, turn it off, because the rest of the movie is crap. That's what I'd say that's my advice. But when she gets stranded in the middle of that desert with the native person in the other dimension, and it was a decision by the writers that they could not speak the same language and they could not understand each other. I had a blast watching that. Not only was I impressed that they actually chose to write it that way, because they could have said, oh yeah, this guy speaks English. More video game stuff. Translate video game stuff. No. It was actually interesting to watch them literally kick the crap out of each other every chance they got until they finally reached some truce, and then as they kind of understood each other and tried to develop a plan to get off this rock island in the middle of this desert, that was all fun. And I'm sitting there watching it going, oh, I like this. This is and I'll say I like the stranger in a strange land kind of motif in movies and books. So I enjoyed that. It was it was harder to write than it could have been had they just said, oh yeah, we're gonna give him all this generic dialogue and he's gonna explain the world and they're gonna come up with this plan. No, they had to do everything without being able to speak the same language. So there's a lot of grunting and hand gesturing, and that was actually fun to watch. And they finally overcome that challenge, and at first I thought that might be the whole movie, was to overcome this challenge and then kind of move on to the next step, and that might kind of set up the either she was going to go back real a lot easier than you would think, and it's like, oh, okay, they wanted to focus on that relationship being developed between these two characters who couldn't understand each other, and I'm like, I'm okay with this is fun. But then they overcome that challenge, and they run into others in this world, and you could tell. I mean, I like Ron Perlman a lot, but man, you could tell he was just phoning this in. I mean, he looked like he didn't even want to get up out of the chair to do any of the action scenes. I mean, it was not a good performance. You could just tell it was for a paycheck, and you know what? That's fine. If that's what you got to do, that's what you got to do. But yeah, everything just came undone after that. Now you had somebody who could just explain everything that was going on. It was just too easy. The writing became real lazy. You could tell that the interesting stuff and the dynamic between those two characters at the beginning and the challenges that they had to work together to overcome just gone. We're not gonna make anything a real challenge for anybody anymore. We're just gonna have somebody explain it, and they're gonna go do it. Explain it, then go do it. They threw her in prison. Yeah, that won't last long. They'll let her out because they need her help. Okay, yep. It just one cliche after another. So when I say the first half of this movie was good, not great, good, That's why I'm saying it. And that's why I say watch the first half, and as soon as you see Ron Perlman, hit stop, go do something more constructive with your time. Yeah, that's a real shame. Because once he shows up, it turns into a video game. You can clearly tell it's a video game adaptation. Where before that, you couldn't at all. This could have been a lower budget movie on the Sci-Fi Channel. That would be one of their better have made movies. And it's like, hey, I like this. They can't speak the same language. They're in a real crappy situation. They've got to work together to figure out how to get past this point and get over it and get back to someplace safe. And that could have been the whole movie. And it still would have been, I still would have been okay with it. But then it was like, okay, well, we actually, here's where the good writers, and then they fired him and brought this other guy in from this point on, and it was just garbage. And even some of the stuff where you're like, that doesn't, I watched a couple things and I'm like, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But on the other hand, who am I to say how alien physiology works? Yeah, whatever. I mean, really, it's this is not a movie that you should pick apart in that way, because it's not really trying to be realistic. It's realistic in the threat they're in, their situation they're in, but after that, a lot of the things that you would know and assume are kind of out the window, because they really are literally in another dimension where the rules of how evolution would have worked and biology would work could be completely different. So don't even overthink some of that stuff. I know I didn't. So yeah, there was some of that, but that was easy to overcome and still enjoy it. So yeah, I give it a 7 for the first half, and then after that, a 2. Excuse me, a 2. Maybe 1.5. 1.5. Yeah. So yeah, it's almost like watching two movies. So there it is. Monster Hunter, Wintermute, signing off.